All right, welcome back, grade 9s. This is day 26. Well timed, by the way. Thank you. You know, there's 25 minutes of class that you could have sharpened thy pencil. You're like, you know what? No, I'm going to wait till you get started. It's like, you know what I think about you, Mr. McBride? It's all good. So today's like day 26 of 40, and we're getting close to the end of the course, which is my early Christmas gift to you, is less of me. That's a gift to you. So you're welcome in advance. 3 weeks from now, I'll just be a faded memory. So what are we doing today? We're talking about Canada and the United States of America. Canada and the United States of America. This is a little bit of the classroom participation part of the class. I'm going to ask you a question, see if you can understand the answer here. Why did I put the U.S. flag to the right of Canada? Anybody know? Because what? Because it looks better that way, right? It's a pretty cool flag. So we put the U.S. flag to the right of Canada because economically, the United States economy is more right-wing. What does that mean that it's more right-wing? It means that the U.S. economy focuses more on laissez-faire capitalism, more on free market capitalism, more on individualism than Canada. Ideally, Canada's flag would be more towards the middle, and there would be a flag of another type of economic system over here. What type of economic system should be over here to the left of Canada? Anybody at home shouting it out? Oh man, I can see some earwax in there. Yep. Cuba would fit. Whew, that's a good one. Cuba's a good one. Cuba's probably the best one. That's the example we talked about yesterday. So the first thing we're going to do today, and then our program is probably going to stop working, is we're going to look at the similarities and differences between Canada and the United States. And then we're going to record another one of these. We're going to talk about the benefit of unions. So I have no idea what I'm going to put as a visual back there for unions. And then we're going to look at transfer payments, natural resources today. Also going to look at some writing assignments. Yes! That does sound like a good time, doesn't it? You know what I want to do today, Miss McBride? I want to learn more about writing. I like some writing. I like me some writing. So next year in 10-1, next year in 10-2, next year in grade 10 social studies, you're going to do some writing. And I'd like to bridge that. I'd like to preload some of the skills that you'll need by looking at the content we're doing now with some of the skills we'll be looking for next year. So that's how we'll end the class today. So, first things first, in your notes, we are comparing Canada to the United States. So your title could be Canada and the United States. Could you write United States and Canada? No, that would be totally wrong, right? You might as well create a new page then. So Canada, United States, we have a quick little video. It's like 6 minutes, and no doubt I'm going to, pause it at times and add to it, or I'll have my mic on and I'll giggle during it. So wait for the giggling. There'll be giggling. I promise giggling. And then we'll look at unions. Maybe before, maybe after our mask break. You know what? We'll just see how we feel. Alright? Let's go. So this is just a commercial, but I'm going to unmute it anyway. Oh, they took away that feature. I need to unmute.
Have an expert writing assistant.
Let's get back. Full screen.
What's up, beautiful people? It is your homegirl.
Beautiful people. She's talking to me.
In the United States. And I'm Canadian. I'm half Canadian and half American. My mom is Filipino-Canadian. My dad's side of the family is American. My dad, he's now Canadian because he's been living in Canada for all this time. And alas, here I am. So I thought this video would be cool. I have a lot of Canadian and American viewers, so why not? Now, this is a YouTube video that is simplified in 5 minutes, so...
Dude, so we're watching a YouTube video, and while we're watching it, I'm making a video that I'm going to put on YouTube. This is like Inception. Like if Leonardo DiCaprio walks in that door and starts spinning a top, I don't know. Is it going to keep spinning or is it going to wobble? Maybe this is all just a layer. How many people right now are just thinking to themselves, I should have stayed home today. I could have watched this from home. It would have been a lot easier. All right, let's see what she says. Let's see. She's half Canadian, half American, and 100% entertaining, right? So she's amazing. You're like, I wish she was our teacher. And she's going to tell us the similarities and differences between Canada and the United States. So what are some things you would expect she'd point out? Canada and the United States. What's a difference?
Free healthcare.
Free healthcare. So maybe she'll point out the healthcare thing. Anybody watch this already? Because you guys have everything for the rest of the year all lined up in our digital textbook, and you've already watched this, and you're like, hey, I know all these answers. No? No. Who would do that? But free healthcare is going to be a big thing, isn't it? That's a good answer.
What I'm going to say is broad strokes, generalizations, stereotypes. This is not the case for everyone. This is to give you an overview of the major differences between Canada and the US. Now, the first one is the accent, the OUT sound. Oh.
So, we're studying economics, and she's talking about accents. Look down at your page. Did you write anything down about accents? No, I hope not. Because that's not the unit we're studying. She's going to get to some economic stuff, but we have to be able to filter. The internet is like drinking water from a fire hose. That's very overwhelming. Don't try it at home. So you have to, it's better to have a straw, right? Or actually, straws are bad for the environment. So I'm not pro straw. No, let's just drink a little bit of water is what I'm getting at. So we have to filter how much we're drinking. What's important, what's not.
Americans pronounce it out. I'm going to go out. I'm about that life.
I'm
In
about
Canada,
that life.
it is out. I'm going to go out. I'm about to go to the store. Can I get you anything? And they also do the sorry.
I don't do either of those. Like, get out of here. I am not sorry to say that I don't say out like that. Who does she think she is? Does anybody say 8? 8? Well, I guess you're more Canadian than I am.
I'm sorry. That sorry sound? Americans
Sorry?
pronounce it sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Shoot, calm down. I'm sorry.
Americans don't
And
say
the
sorry.
Canadians apologize a lot. That's like a dead giveaway you're Canadian. When I moved to New York, everyone knew I was Canadian because I kept apologizing and the out sound. So because I was a voiceover actor, I worked really hard to get rid of that. Even though I got that right, people still were like, well, where are you from? What's your story? This photographer was like, oh, you're Canadian. That explains it. And I'm like, explain.
Notice how it's suddenly about her? It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you about Canada and the United States, and, oh, by the way, I'm a voice actor, and I got a nice house, and here's some magazines in the background. My life is good. Like, yes, I'm jealous, okay?
Explains what? He's like, I thought you were rich. I'm like, rich! In Canada, nobody would ever assume I come from money. It's only because I'm a woman of color living in New York without an accent that people are assuming I went to a private school or something. Interesting. The standards of education between Canada and the US. Canada, it is higher, it is more affordable. So not only is it accessible to more people, the average tuition for Canadians is between $6,000 and $12,000. American tuition, I feel like 1 year of American tuition is the equivalent of 4 years Canadian.
So she's now getting into some numbers, which makes it sound economic. So she's getting to something, which means that in Canada we have more subsidized education. That the government of Canada has said that education is a priority for the common good, and the common good is something of greater interest as you move towards the left in the spectrum. So we're going to subsidize. Is there public school in America? Of course there is. Is there a state-funded university in America? Of course there is. But in general, school is more affordable in Canada than the US because governments give more money to education in Canada and the United States. In the United States, universities often look to sponsors, corporate and alumni. And yes, corporate and alumni do sponsor universities in Canada, but aside from tuition, and Canadian students still pay thousands of dollars of that, Canadian universities are subsidized more. So if you want to go to a university in the US like Harvard, maybe some of you will be off to Harvard or an Ivy League school in the future, it, like she said, 1 year at Harvard may be the equivalent of about 4 years at the U of A. So my daughter's at the U of A this year, and her tuition's just under $10,000 per year. Looking at Harvard or Columbia or Brown or Yale, all these Ivy League schools, it'd be around $40,000 a year. Aight, let's continue. I'm gonna get that door.
So here in the US, I find that education is limited to scholarships. If you can get a scholarship, that's great. If you can't, you gotta get that money. Canadians have more access to education, and because of that, there's a huge thing in Canada. It's called the brain drain. When Canadians graduate, a lot of the American companies hire them because they are smarter. They have a more global perspective. The other most noticeable thing I've noticed, noticeables, Canadians are more family-oriented, more like group, team. When I was in Canada, I really felt like this is awesome, like teamwork, yes, go.
Okay, so again, the further you go to the left in an economic spectrum, the more we value cooperation. So cooperation is a value of the economic left. So as you move from the right to the left, you should expect to see more cooperation. As you move from the left to the right, you should expect to see the opposite, more competition. If you are in an economy where it's all about competition, it's about self-interest. I'll take care of me, you take care of you. There's no we. But as you move from the right to the left, there becomes a greater sense of we. That we are responsible to each other and for each other. So if you're in poverty or if I'm in poverty, we need to work together to find a solution. So Canada, economically, will have more social welfare through the government than you would find in the US. The United States, they're looking for freedom from government. And in Canada, often we get freedom through government with the greater subsidies, more redistribution of wealth. So chapter 6 on economics can be one of the easier chapters. As soon as we can figure out this left-right economic stuff, as soon as we can figure out the differences between collectivism and individualism, because then it does really become, one or the other. So we'll keep working on it.
We support you, we love you. In the US, again, my experience in New York, LA, it's very hustle. Hustle, 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 get it, do it on your own, figure out a way. And I think that has a lot to do with the money. This, Americans, especially immigrants, will hustle for that dollar bill. In Canada, we have this thing called a loonie and a toonie, which is a $2 coin. Coins, like pocket change, as valuable as it is, does not carry the same mentality as a dollar bill.
So I'm not sure if it's the material of the currency that creates the mentality of the hustle, but the mentality of the hustle, she's bang on here, is capitalism. That hustle for the dollar. I need to go and self-interest, self-motivation, a person of my own destiny. If I work hard enough, I can become a millionaire. That's the American dream, rugged individualism, right? That hustle. So you see that hustle mentality in America. You still see it in Canada, but it's not as pervasive. You don't see it everywhere. So in Canada, yes, we have different kinds of currency. We have coins for 1 and 2, but we do have paper money after that. But I think that even thinking beyond the currency itself, there is less of a sense of entrepreneurship and hustle in Canada. That mentality-wise, there is a different mindset. In America, being capitalist, more capitalist than we are. We're still capitalists, but they're more capitalist. There's more of that self-interest there. And here we have more of the, there's assistance coming from the government. So maybe I don't have to work so hard.
When it rains in New York, people run onto the streets to sell umbrellas. When it's hot in New York, people are selling water bottles. And you hand this over. The whole mentality with $1 bills versus a $1 coin is different. And it translates in so many ways. Other noticeable differences between Canada and the US is like healthcare. Healthcare in Canada is publicly owned by.
Boom, there you go. So that's the big one, right? So her YouTube video is getting stronger as she goes. And I would encourage you to make some of your own, because this is the way the world's communicating with each other. But, so she's saying, you know what? One of the big differences is healthcare. In Canada, we have public healthcare. It's publicly operated. It's publicly funded. In the United States, it's privatized. Now, I don't know if she's going to make this point or not, because it's been a few days since I watched this. But the US governments actually pay more for healthcare for their citizens than ours do. So the US government does subsidize healthcare, and they're spending more per American. It's over $20,000 per American per year. But healthcare in the United States costs more because it's privatized. Those who are providing the healthcare are doing it for profit. They're corporations. They're doing it for profit. So doctors, hospitals in the United States, they charge more because it's about profit. So the Canadian system, the Canadian government, interestingly enough, actually spends less per Canadian than the US government does on healthcare. But the US system is more expensive because of the corporate involvement in it. Having said that, many Americans do pride themselves on their healthcare system, saying it's a higher standard of healthcare, that they can get surgeries faster, that they don't have long waiting lines. But healthcare is one of the issues in the 2020 presidential election, and it's been in issues before, and no doubt it'll be in issues again. And many Americans look to the Canadian or the British or the French systems and say, we need to emulate more of that. And Barack Obama ran on a healthcare policy. He was president for 8 years. We still didn't get Obamacare. So it's not easy to change a healthcare system.
By the government, the people. Here in the US, it is privately owned, meaning there is a non-for-profit, profit, and government owned. If you're sick in Canada and you're Canadian, it's costing the government. So it's in their best interest to keep you healthy and alive. In the US, there was actually a profit to be made on the sick, which is a conflict of interest and of major concern. So,
Man, that's a great point. There's profit in your sickness. So there's an interest in keeping you sick. Some people are actually very cynically looking at the US numbers of COVID-19 and they're like, why are they so high? This could be it. Because there's profit in sickness.
that is a noticeable difference. The average Canadian is healthier than the Americans. The food regulations are so strict in Canada versus the US. We weren't allowed to have Red Bull for the longest time. That was illegal in Canada. Trans fats and saturated fats were cut out a long time ago. I confused the two, but one of those. Drinking age limits in Canada, 18, 19, depending on which province you're in. The US is 21. What else? There is so much more. I would love to hear all of those in the comment section.
Boom, I think she's done helping us here. That was meant to give us a taste of the difference between Canada and the United States. And we're going to stop this here. And let's go outside, dress warm for the mask break, and then we'll continue after that.